In the neon-soaked streets of Night City, one name echoes louder than any other: Johnny Silverhand.
Johnny Silverhand died a legend. Nobody forgets that.
But behind the legend lies a man driven by guilt, rage, and a desperate search for redemption. So let's break down who Johnny Silverhand really was. Johnny Silverhand was born as Robert John Linder in the late 1980s, and this was a time when America had become a corporate playground and the world teetered on endless proxy wars. Lying about his age to enlist into the military even earlier than he'd normally be allowed, Johnny was sent off to fight in the Second Central American War, where not only would he lose his left arm, but also his faith in the entire system. When the government corruption perpetrating those endless wars was exposed, Johnny was one of the many soldiers who deserted in protest.
Not the brightest bulb on the stage, are you?
And when he came home, he was a soldier no more, but a man deeply disillusioned and angry at the government and mega corporations who had betrayed everybody.
You're a dick, you know?
And you're a cunt. Maybe we'll fit together after all.
No longer the same Robert John Linder from before the war, and now equipped with his signature metal prosthetic arm, Johnny decided to fight back in his own way, by reinventing himself as Night City rocker boy Johnny Silverhand, the rock star who didn't just sing about revolution, he wanted to start one. Now, upon his arrival in Night City, he fell deeply into the counterculture music scene, known for its raw anti-corporate edge, and started building a lot of connections. And through these, he would eventually meet his future bandmates Carrie, Denny, Henry, and Nancy. Together, they formed a band called Samurai. Fun little side note here, during the creation of the band, Nancy actually was the one that came up with the name Samurai. And that's because historically, real samurai were willing to die for their cause. Nancy actually thought this blind loyalty was super dumb and wanted to use the name as sort of a mockery. Johnny and Carrie, they just thought the name sounded cool, and thus Samurai was born. But through the band, Johnny was able to finally send a message. Samurai wasn't just a band, it was also a statement. With song lyrics that openly condemned megacorps and the government, the shows were loud, chaotic, and often ended in riot. And Johnny used his stage presence and fame to mobilize the angry and dispossessed of Night City to a shockingly effective degree. Songs like Chippin' In, Never Fade Away, and A Like Supreme became anthems of a new budding rebellion in Night City. But despite the immense success of Samurai, they were definitely plagued by internal conflicts, especially Johnny's unpredictable and extremely self-destructive behavior and his intense hatred and almost obsession with fighting Arasaka. This led to the unfortunate breakup of Samurai within a few years. And though the band was no more, Johnny didn't stop there. He kept his anti-corpo crusade alive through solo work and direct action, leading to the legendary assault on Arasaka Tower in 2023. Now, when I say legendary, that's because this is one of, if not the most important events in the entire Cyberpunk universe, as it shaped the future of Night City, shattered some of Arasaka's power, and turned Johnny Silverhand into an absolute legend. And it's pretty much the key inciting event that makes the whole plot of Cyberpunk 2077 even possible. Now, as for some context as to why this raid happened, in the 2020s, there was a fourth corporate war erupting between two of the biggest corporations out there. Militech, which is the American arms giant, and Arasaka, the Japanese security megacorp. And when it comes to these two, they fought absolutely dirty. We're talking sabotage, black ops, cyber warfare, and all of this spilled out into the streets of Night City all the time. Now, as for Johnny Silverhand's involvement, that goes back to some personal reasons. And this is because years earlier, Johnny Silverhand's ex-lover Alt Cunningham, who was a genius netrunner, invented a soul killer virus program. Now, soul killer is an AI virus that could copy someone's mind or their engram and store it in data, but it also killed the person's biological brain in the process. Due to the applications of this virus, Arasaka desperately wanted to get their hands on it, which unfortunately led to Alt being kidnapped by Arasaka right after a samurai show, while Johnny was seriously injured in the process and unable to stop it from happening. This kidnapping actually led to another separate raid on Arasaka Tower before the events of 2023, where Johnny tries but fails to rescue Alt, and in the end, she unfortunately loses her physical body. Though unbeknownst to Johnny, her engram does survive, albeit trapped in the Arasaka mainframe. Okay, now that we have a little bit of context and backstory, let's get back to the Arasaka Tower raid of 2023. On August 20th of 2023, a Militech incursion team led by Morgan Blackhand and Johnny Silverhand were tasked with the mission of infiltrating Arasaka Tower. The raid was supposed to be a joint assault of 3 teams: Strike Team Alpha, led by Johnny Silverhand, Strike Team Beta, and Strike Team Omega, led by Morgan Blackhand, each with their own individual tasks to be carried out. Team Alpha's mission was to infiltrate the Soul Killer laboratories on the 120th floor in order to save Alt Cunningham, whose engram was still trapped on the Arasaka network, and then destroy Soul Killer 3.0. Unfortunately for Johnny Silverhand and his team, they were simply a decoy to attract a bulk of the Arasaka forces thanks to the high-profile composition of their team. Meanwhile, Morgan Blackhand's team was there to carry out the main objective, which was to retrieve or destroy the Arasaka database. While the destruction of the towers was also planned, not even Blackhand was aware of that at the time. And while Johnny's team did succeed in rescuing Alt and were able to upload a virus to destroy any information regarding Soul Killer 3.0 from the Arasaka network, Arasaka themselves were able to discover their position and commanded none other than Adam Smasher and 2 squads of troopers to destroy them. During the evacuation, they found themselves pinned down by Smasher and the Arasaka troops. Johnny, barely able to withstand the assault himself, felt very conflicted about what options they had going forward in this situation. Johnny, in a moment of reflection, and due to his past of what he perceived as abandoning his friends, he vowed not to do it anymore. So, leaving cover, Johnny started firing at and shouting towards Adam Smasher in an attempt to get his attention, which unfortunately worked because it was at this point that Adam Smasher would turn around and unload his auto shotgun into Johnny Silverhand, essentially cutting him in half. Luckily enough, this still bought his team enough time to attack Adam Smasher and immobilize him long enough to make their escape. But with that, thus comes the end of Johnny Silverhand's physical life and opens the doors to Cyberpunk 2077's story.